Hi Guy, today I want to have a look at the future of VR, pretty much where it's at the moment, where it's going and whether or not I think it's actually worth buying into at this point in time. Now, as you probably know, going back on my channel, I picked up the Oculus Rift back at launch, ordered it a month or two before, etc. It came a week or so after the actual launch date, after a lot of messing around before it actually turned up. But all those supply issues have long since been sorted. And then a couple of months ago, I even picked up the Oculus Touch. Basically the hand-based controllers which the Steam Vive came with immediately. Now, to me, when I first got the Rift, just having to use the Xbox controller, it was okay, but it was just a games controller. It felt very chunky. It was fine as a controller, but to have that thing in your hands, it kept a lot of the games you would play felt like they needed that extra interactive element, and then to later get the Oculus Touch and start playing through the different titles and games and so on, and some of the interactive stuff that's come out since, it's been fascinating because it really draws you into like the sense of immersion and the way VR should properly be. And I'm a bit jealous that the Vive owners got that at roughly the same time I was messing with the Xbox controller last year. And I think that's a bit of a big detriment, really, for Oculus's part. It's a shame they didn't meet that right from the off, because I think it would have done a huge service to them if they'd have managed to push it through. But that's the situation we're in. They're out now. We're all using them. We all seem to love them. I've not had any problems with any of my hardware. I'm sure a few people have along the way, but mostly it's positive experience on my part. Now, looking at some of the stuff that's happened as well in the last year, there's been a lot of stuff going on with the legal case and is it John Carmack and all that big legal thing going on where they've been trying to get billions out of Oculus and via Facebook, effectively, because Facebook owned them, and then it's been partially ruled, I think, against Oculus, and they have to pay out $500 million, something like that. But they're currently contesting it, accusing them of stealing code and things, and them completely denying it. But they're partially guilty of other things. Very, very complicated situation, but that's all in the background, and it's been a bit of a panic for a while. Especially for me, because I'm thinking, my God, this could be a massive destruction of the whole Oculus dream, and then the only real push would be the Vive. But Steam is rubbish at advertising its own products. They don't really seem to be pushing it anymore. It's all gone a bit quiet. Yeah, it pops up on the store, but it's not like there's anyone central or anyone pushing it at different things. It feels like a product they're producing. It's like an accessory. It's on the market. Get it if you want. But Oculus, to me, still seems to be doing more in the way of advertising and making more of a noise and pushing it out there. Because the other thing is, as gamers involved in this, I'm a big gamer, obviously, otherwise you wouldn't be watching my channel. But I'm a big gamer, and when I got it, I thought this is like the closest we'll probably get to like the Star Trek holodeck in my lifetime. This is the way everything is going and should be going. But it's been a bit. For the first 6 months, I was fairly disappointed because, well, there was a lack of big titles, really. I managed to fill me time with loads of third-party stuff in which people had created in the early days of like the Oculus excitement, and I think I probably did like 50 or 60 Oculus Rift videos over the entirety of last year, and it was really, really fascinating to see how that stuff was developing and improving. But as time has gone on, I've been realising more and more that games are okay as an aside, but I don't really think that this is what you should be buying the Rift for, because there are a lot more things it could be used for. One thing that's really stood out, and what I tend to do quite a lot with more than I have with playing any games these days, is I use virtual desktop and I use it in the cinema mode, which basically plonks you in a massive big screen cinema. You're surrounded by seats, nice fancy aisles and stuff, and you look up on the wall and there's a massive cinema screen. And I can quite easily sit there for a couple of hours, because the thing is, with the way the Rift is, you can, as long as you've got like a straw or something to stick in your drink, because it can be a bit difficult taking a drink from a glass or something. It's actually quite a great experience, because it feels like you're actually there. The atmosphere's there. It's fantastic. You get a good film on the screen. I recently did the entirety of the James Cameron Aliens film. I think I did the special edition. Fantastic movie, by the way. I highly recommend it. But I do that quite a lot. I've also started watching a lot of me programs, a lot of normal TV shows. I'll just pick the headset on and plonk it over my head. Now, it's not perfect. If you're wearing glasses, I'm about 50. I wear contacts, but I wear disposable ones. But at the same time, I'll tend to wear glasses these days more than I do anything else. But the problem with the Rift, even though it was promised way before it came out that they were going to do something around the headset inside, nothing official has actually happened. Now, a few third-party solutions have popped up with like rings and things, basically like extra parts that's plug into your Rift to grip your glasses, hold them in place, or even possibly get like equivalent of prescription lenses, which is fine. But it's disappointing that there's not really been anything from Oculus itself or an upgrade to the actual headset just to make it easier to wear. I mean, one of the biggest problems I have, especially with glasses, is it's very, very difficult, because you have to pop them at the bottom of my nose, look down into the Rift, drag it back, and then tilt my head over the top. Sorry, trying not to cough there. And then the thing is, that drives the glasses right back up against my face. And again, you just keep thinking, if there was some sort of thing in there, like that, one of the rims I've mentioned before, but that would hold your glasses in place, and you could just slot it down, slide it over, and you'd be good to go. It's very, very annoying, but it's a hell of a lot of people buying glasses, and it's something that needs to be tackled. Anyway, going back onto the main subject, especially like, is it worth buying at the moment? I think it is now, because the online store is absolutely riddled with loads of different games and titles, especially really, really good apps. I mentioned Virtual Desktop there, but there's other things like there's music apps, other video players. One thing I've really been picking up on, there's been like these very, very special like documentaries, and they're only really short ones, but one that really caught me interest. I mean, I'm in the UK, I'm not in the US. But I was watching this thing called, I think it was Through the Ages, and it was Obama celebrating the American national parks. And he was doing a speech, and you were actually in the national park, and you turn around and look around, and you could see him talking, and you would see different parts of it focusing. And it was like a semi-interactive video, because you would appear in different places throughout the park, and you get to see it in like glorious HD and look around and move around. And then there's other things, there's like something called the Jaunt app, which has got a lot more like interactive movies where you can actually, the movie's happening around you and you can turn and look around and stuff. And I think that's the way forward. I think as we get more and more of that as like an entertainment genre, I don't know what's the right word for it, but if you could imagine like a movie filmed around that, where you're slap bang in the middle of the set, the stuff like, let's say you're in a war scene, for example, people are shooting at each other, you've got firing guns, you're plonked down in the middle of that, you could have, say, like a weapon in your hands, or you could have medical supplies, or whatever, and it's all happening along it, you're being pulled along for the ride, and you'd like, say, moving along with them, you could be interacting with them, passing stuff to people, maybe just interactive in light ways, and then just like, say, shots being fired at you being able to move and dodge and duck, and stuff like that. In particular, going back one of my favourite all-time things is one of the zombie movies they did for the Jaunt VR app, and it was only a very short one, and it was really more of a demo to show what could be done with cameras and actors and things. And it was absolutely amazing, because you were sat in the back of a small pickup truck. The zombies were coming after you. You felt, you could move about. They'd be like arms coming out after you and things, and people dying around you, and violence and shots going off and explosions. I do quite like explosions. What can I say? But you'd have this whole interactive thing, but it was basically a movie, but it was happening around you. You know, you're slap bang in the middle. And I think that's the draw. That's what they need to start pushing more and more, because that's how you get the more, not gaming people, but like casual people and normal people off the street. Start pushing that. Maybe start going down the thing they need to do, I suppose, is better headsets. I mean, one of the biggest pushes at the moment is the wireless headset front, because that would be a massive improvement. Because one of the biggest issues I have a fairly big space in front of the PC. I had to move a lot of stuff around to do that. I'm in quite a small living space for where the PC is, and I've got nowhere else I can move it to. But the thing is, having a huge, big, long, lengthy cable stuck down the side of your head and off down the side of your spine, and a number of times that thing gets wrapped around my feet. I'm always tripping up on the damn thing. Half the time I have to end up getting like some sort of peg to stick it onto my t-shirt and just stick it off to the side where I know it's out of the way. But if that just disappeared and they were able to push the data through like a wireless device which talks to the PC, that's the way forward. I mean, on top of that, I'd also hope that eventually we'll get to the case that the actual kit to display all this will get smaller and smaller. I mean, it's like a year old roughly now, so the technology for the screens, when the VR stuff was coming out, there was nothing using this sort of, I think maybe possibly mobile phones were using these sort of 4K display. I think I'm even wrong about that, but we're in the middle of it. It started now. I think it's a very, very interesting time to get in. A year ago, I was very excited, but really, it was not the time to get into it. But now, looking at the catalogue, there's a lot more great games and things, a lot more interactive stuff. I'm hoping they start going down more and more of the movie route, so it'd be interesting to see what's going to happen. But by all means, stick it in the comments below. I mean, what do you think of the whole VR experience? I know that I didn't mention the PlayStation at all there. I've not actually played on one of them directly yet, but my only thing with that is Sony seemed to have gone a bit quiet and seemed to have just abandoned it and pushed it off, even though it did fairly well. I think it sold about 1 million units, which is pretty good for an accessory, pretty much to a main console. So whether they're going to do anything better with it, we don't know. But Oculus and Steam, of course, are the biggest front runners. I'm hoping that we're going to get more and more stuff, and maybe we'll start getting things like gloves you can wear. That will mean we can ditch the big handheld things and actually have like finger control, because I've seen some of that tech up there in the air. Anyway, I'm warbling. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and please look forward to another video soon.